Okay, here we go. All right, you ready? Okay, this is another part video of our anger management coursework, if you want to call it that, or video listening. It'll be available on my podcast as well with WinWin Podcast under Felicia Ferrara. But anyways, we're going to talk about calming ourselves before we speak, which we just did. We talked about physical activity. We talked about taking a break and kind of calming ourselves down. But the truth is, once you do all that and you calm yourself down, you still have to talk to the person that you're having a debate with, or you have a discussion or a disagreement with. So, how do we do that without losing our cool, without getting angry, without triggering an impulse reaction that's going to let us get into trouble? Okay, this is really, really big. So, what we're going to do is once you calm down, now you need to put your words together and communicate your thoughts in a cohesive manner. And you want to do it in a way where you can talk pleasantly to your partner so that you can allow yourself to be understood without being triggered and blowing a gut. Okay, we don't want any of that. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So, if you're not the kind of person that can express yourself verbally, which you wouldn't have a problem with impulse control if you were able to express yourself verbally and effectively. So let's take a look at that. How do we do that? Okay, you got yourself calm. You're taking control of it. You're doing really good. So now we have to go a step further. Now that you've got yourself calmed down, we need to go to the point that you can express yourself eloquently, if you will, with your partner, whoever it is you're having this debate with. Okay, so how do we do that? First thought is this. Of course, you're in a calm state. Some people do better in written words. So I would advise you to actually write your thoughts out. This is true even if you're in the point of being angry. At any time before you have an important discussion, it's important to put your thoughts down on paper. You don't have to write an eloquent report. All you have to do is do bullet lines of the issues you want to bring up and how you're hurt. Okay. Now, there's positive ways to say things and there's negative ways to say things. I think there's another video here about how words hurt. We don't want to bring words that hurt because if we bring those words to the table, that person's going to want to hurt us back. And so here we are back in dilemma where we're getting our triggers pulled and possibly have an impulsive reaction. And then you have a kind of violent reaction. Okay, if you have any kind of an outburst, the whole debate ends up escalated, and now you got a different kind of a problem. Again, back to that again. Okay, so here's the tip. If you're angry and you calm yourself down, make your little written bullet point, your list of things to say, the important issues you want to make in your conversation. And then you actually practice and rehearse in the mirror, saying them in a negative way and say them in a positive way. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, for instance, let's just say you're coming home from work and you feel unappreciated because you came in the house and your dinner's not ready. And you're really, really hungry. You've been dying to come home and have dinner. Your feet hurt. You want to get out of your work clothes. You want to just sit down, relax, and have dinner. No dinner. Nothing's ready. Uh-oh. So what you want to do is you say to your wife, gee, hon, can you give me something quick? Because I'm really, really hungry. I can't wait. That would be the nice way to say it. Or you can say to your partner, hey, where's my food? I'm starving. And here you are, a lazy son of a bee, and just sat on your guff all day long. Is that the problem? Now, what did you just do? If you express yourself that way with a nasty comment, you're going to trigger your partner. So now your partner's feelings are hurt, and now you're both going to get into a clash, and they're going to come back with something hurtful for you. So you see how it keeps escalating, escalating, escalating. Somebody has to control the ship. And if it's you who loses your impulse, it's up to you to control your own ship. Every one of us is responsible for our own actions. Okay? What did you do to trigger another horrible encounter with your partner? Okay? So, if you know you're married to a hothead or you're living with a hothead, then you know that you better work on this because you're going to have to be the one to get them calmed down. So common sense tells you you better work hard on this. So please take these words seriously. Again, the reason I say this is because domestic violence issues, I have seen so much I cannot tell you of the injuries that have happened to people in the heat of an argument. Somebody who was a relative, it could have been a cousin, an uncle, a partner, a spouse, intimate partner, however you want to phrase it, your cohabitator, your paramour, however you want to say it, your coworker. I've had coworkers have fist fights because they couldn't agree on something. Yes, very professional, executive coworkers. So that's all the stuff we want to avoid. We want to get the anger subsided. But if you can express yourself, practice, make sure you go back into your own calm state, go to your desk, write your things out, see what it is that you're going to want to say, and say it in a positive way. You can say, that deal with John Doe, etc. That was my deal. I didn't know you were going to take it. I'm going to get you back for that. Now what happened? Now you're going to have a debate. You're going to both fight. Your other party has no choice but to come back with a smart remark. Instead, you could have said, what do you think? What do you think happened on that case? I really feel hurt. I was working on that myself. Why don't we see if we can make this a partnership and we'll work on it together? That's one way to bridge the gap. You may not like that, but you can certainly handle it in a different way simply by the choice of your words when you're having a discussion. Okay? So remember that. Now, 9 out of 10 times, if you're really, really scared to talk and you can't find your way to get your words together, then it's possible for you to get help on the outside, and join maybe a support group for assertive training. So, what do I need assertive training for? Well, that would be something simple. If you are the type that has a problem, even sending your eggs back, if your eggs are not coming out cooked correctly when you're in a restaurant, if you're too intimidated to call the waitress and say, gee, can they cook these a little more for me? Then yes, you have a problem in your own communication. And that's when that frustration builds up and that leads you to the point where you're going to explode. You may be a very quiet person by nature, but you're going to allow yourself to explode because you haven't learned to circumvent that and express yourself verbally. Okay, so let's take another look at how we can go ahead and work through this situation together in a calm state. So let's say you don't want to join a group, you don't want to join an assertive training group. Well, there's plenty online. So now you can do so online. You don't have to do it in person. And you want to approach somebody in the least threatening kind of a topic. So, like I said, learning to send your food back to the kitchen if it's a waitress. Maybe you have to bring a return to the store. Some people are even afraid to bring a return to the store after they bought something that doesn't fit. Then, by all means, work on that through a support group because that's important. Once you get through those less threatening things, because it's not like your whole life depends on whether your eggs are cooked right or your object was brought back to the store for return, but your life does depend on whether or not you can express yourself in the workplace. And so, once you handle these less threatening things, it builds your confidence. Then nothing's going to happen to you. It's okay to speak your mind. A lot of people bring things back. A lot of people return food back to the kitchen and say, gee, can you cook this more? Can you cook it less? And so those are things that are commonplace. So once you graduate from that level, we go to the next level and we work on assertive training with somebody who would typically be intimidating to you. Now, intimidating could be your boss, a supervisor, anyone who's above you. Some people are even intimidated by coworkers who might come out a little more authoritative. And so I've had one person tell me they couldn't talk at a board meeting. They turned totally red and stopped dead in their face, although they were supposed to run the meeting, because when the boss walked in the door, he reminded him exactly of his father, who was abusive when he was a child. Now, this is somebody who worked for a very high up Fortune 500 company and yet still was brought back to being a child just by the intimidation perceived from the boss. And so those are obstacles we need to get over for greater success in our career, etc. And those are things that we work on either personally or through a professional assistance. And you can do it either in group format, you can do it in individual format, but it's important to push yourself out of your little safe zone. You may be safe and comfortable and not opening your mouth and not saying a word and kind of accepting everything that happens to you, kind of like you want to be inconspicuous, or push yourself out of the safe zone. You need to push to get yourself to overcome these obstacles. I promise you it's doable. And it takes character building through a series of successive tasks where each one leads you to the next one that's even more important. Okay? So eventually you build your own confidence and you're able to go forward and assert yourself in a diplomatic way with the main goal always to be a win win situation. You want everybody to go away from there feeling they got something from it. So, for instance, let's say you're in the workplace and you want a particular account from somebody else. Well, you can't go in there and say, "Hey, I want that account. Give it to me." Well, of course, no one's going to tolerate that kind of talk. So now you got somebody retaliating against you. But if you went in there and said, "Gee, I really know I have a lot I can offer on that account. I've really got a handle on it. I have a good relationship with the person in charge and with the buyer. So why don't you put me on the account?" And those are things that you're approaching the same problem about trying to get yourself placed on the account, but you're offering something where it's a win win situation. You'll get the account you want, and the boss will get the sale done because you have the relationship with the person. You see what I mean? You have to look at the leverage. So you always want to leverage what can you offer in order to get back what you want. All right? And that's really an important way. I think your boss would even admire you for going about it that way. So those are the things that we need to work on together. So it's understood that people need training in that. Some people have had less exposure to the workplace. Some people are have a more difficult time speaking up. That's okay. It doesn't mean there's one way is more perfect than the other. It just means it's a quality that somebody has that maybe you don't have and maybe you need to work on it. Okay. But if you don't express yourself and get what you want and communicate properly, that's what leads to the frustration. And that's what leads to impulsive acting out, which is a problem such as anger management. Okay? The last thing you want to do is be seen as a person who lacks self control in the workplace. So that's why we need to work on this together. All right? So remember that when you do these things that you need to understand negotiations is an art in itself. Negotiating for personal space, negotiating for a business promotion, negotiating for the remote control in your house, and in case you're having that debate. So whether it's personal, social, or workplace related, everyone has to approach these things in the same thing in mind. Now you might say, "Oh, heck, that sounds so ridiculous. I can certainly ask for my remote control." Yeah, you can, unless there's someone in the family that wants it more than you, and then you're both going to get into a debate. But we would hope that people treat each other respectfully and interact in a meaningful manner, but you and I both know that's not always the case. So, in many cases, you need to negotiate, kind of smooth the way in to get what it is that you want with the win win situation. Now, people in sales do this all the time. You have to go in with an offer, you have to sell yourself, you have to build trust with the person, and you have to be positive. And so that's how sales people are more successful. But in your personal life, you don't think of yourself that way, but you truly are. You're selling whatever it is that you need at that moment. So you're selling that concept to the other person. So the art of negotiating, whether it's personal, social, or business related, it's pretty much the same principles. Keep your tone civil, Keep your word choice positive. Make sure that you are aware of what it is you want to say. And rehearsal never hurts. Okay? I don't care. Maybe you can't write it down. Maybe you don't have time. Maybe you're driving. Fine. Think it out in your mind. But think before you speak. And if you do this and you think more positively, the art of negotiating becomes easier and easier. Okay? And you circumvent any negative outcomes for an anger eruption. For an anger eruption. We really don't want one of those. Okay? So, what do you think? Can you do it? If you're still stymied and you're kind of stuck someplace, not sure how to proceed, by all means call someone. Whether it's a method of self hypnosis, cognition, how to perceive things better, behavioral concepts, how to control your own emotions better, all kinds of theories apply. And you'll be surprised, professional people do have a certain bag of tricks, if you want to call it that, that can help remedy impulsive acting out behavior that can lead to anger management issues. Okay? So, with that in mind, please call me if you have any questions. By all means, check my other videos. I have a video specifically on assertive training, and that helps to understand the concept, how to be more assertive, not aggressive, more assertive. And that's the more effective means of communication. So, by all means, email me at Felicia@FeliciaFerrara.com. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more coming forward, and I look forward to working with you. Feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.